What is going on, everybody? Blazing here. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. And we've got to talk about a very common mistake that I'm seeing on a lot of these accounts. I've been doing a lot of account takeovers lately for 3v3. And I'm seeing more and more in this. And, maybe it's just not knowing how to properly pick the right piece of gear to level up. But I'm seeing a lot of gear that's being held on to accounts and it's never going to be used. Okay. There are some niche case uses, which we'll talk about in a minute on, where these rules don't apply. But on your pieces of gear, more particularly on your bottom pieces of gear, right? On your chest, gloves, and your boots. First of all, let me show you guys how many pieces of gear we have. We have 920 pieces of gear out of 1,500, right? Now on the stats, gloves, boots, we've got 478. Ideally, when you're looking for pieces of gear to keep, you're either going to be looking for HP percentage, defense percentage, you're going to be looking for attack percentage, resistance, or accuracy for your chest piece, or speed for your boots, right? What you're not going to be looking for as a main stat is flat HP, flat attack, or flat defense. You're going to look here, we've got 192 pieces of gear. That is 1/4 of all the gear on the account, and that is about half of the gear for the bottom row pieces that we are keeping and have leveled that we're never going to use, except on 3 different case uses, right? This is thousands, hundreds of thousands of silver that is wasted, glyphs that have been used on them, and honestly, even some of the oil that we've used on them. None of these pieces, except for, again, some niche case uses, and there's only 3, which we'll go through in a minute, will ever be used, okay? They are automatically a sell once you get out of your first, let's say, 60 days, okay? When you're early game, when you're just starting out, some of these pieces may help you, may work. But when you're at a stage like this, once you honestly break more of your 30 days and you start doing some dungeons and you start getting pieces of gear that have percentage substats or percentage main stats, right? These pieces of gear are pretty much trash. Okay. Now let's talk about the 3 cases that this rule does not apply to. I've got a piece of gear here where it's got flat stat attack and it's got 4 rolls of speed. It's got 28 speed. That means it high rolled every single time for us, right? Now, why would you want to keep a piece like this? Well, on your turn meter boosters, right? 90% of the time, when you're early game, even some mid games accounts, you're going to care about one thing and one thing only, trying to go as fast as possible. It's not until you move into the late game, end game, where you start looking at more survivability, at more tankiness to your champion. You care more about just going as fast as possible. So there are 3 gear sets that this rule does not apply to. Speed is one of them. Perception is the other one. Okay. And then righteous is the other one. While I was editing this out, I remembered that there was one more set that falls under this category, and that is divine speed. So I do apologize that I missed that originally, but I wanted to make sure that I put that out. So divine speed is one of the sets. So there's actually 4 sets that you want to make sure you follow this rule on. Now I'm going to give you scenarios of where you would keep these pieces and what you should do. On a righteous piece of gear, if it's got a substat roll of speed, like this one, you roll it up to 8. You see if you can get a double roll speed. I roll it up to 8. There's other people that will only roll it up to 4. If it doesn't go into 1 speed, then you get rid of it. I roll it up to 8 just to see. Okay. I feel like 8 is my lucky number, so I try it. But now if it doesn't roll speed, it's an automatic sell, right? Even if it rolls double resistance, it's not going to matter. You care about just the speed alone because you're going to get 40 speed. You're going to get 40 resistance and 10 speed. If it has a resistance substat and then it rolls double or triple speed, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Now, let's go into perception. Perception, if it's got speed, like this one does, we roll it up to 8. If we get a double roll or 4, whatever you choose to do, then if it doesn't roll like this one did, it's an automatic sell. And then the last one is going to be speed, right? Unfortunately, we don't have any pieces of speed gear on here, but if we did, and it rolled speed substat, double or triple, depending on what your account currently has, then you would consider keeping it. Now this also gets put down to only 2 slots. This only works for gloves and chests. Okay. So if a chest piece has a substat roll of speed, then you go ahead and you try to roll it up and see what you get. If a glove has a substat roll of speed, then you do the same thing. For boots, it doesn't work. Okay. You're not going to get a substat speed roll, or you're not going to sacrifice the speed that you would get from a regular boot, right? Even if it's a common boot for crit damage or, stun or whatever. Not that we can get common boots for stun, but let's just say for speed, if it was a common boot, you're not going to take a common boot, or you're not going to take, let's say, a legendary boot with like a 4-star roll, right? Over a common boot that could just be rolled all the way up to 6. So this essentially comes down to when you have for speed, perception, and for righteous sets on your chest and your gloves, if there is a speed substat roll, you roll it up. If it is just the flat stat main piece, right? So if we're rolling flat stat defense on the main one and there's no speed, you get rid of it. Now there are, as you get further into the end game, a lot more exceptions. I don't want to cover those in this video because then it'll get a little confusing. So we'll do a guide on that later on. So that's it. Keep an eye out on those pieces. 99% of the other ones are going to be all trash. You can see on my account, anything that is a flat stat for any of these is an automatic sell. I've got 21 pieces. Now you're going to see that I have Supersonic and Merciless, and that's because I want to try to build some sets. And so I'm looking to see what can happen with them. I might use some ore, I might not. I'm still using, because it is a new set, and again, very endgame. This is one of those exceptions. But for everything else, you can see it's pretty much gone. Zeal is the same thing. It's a very endgame set. So I'm looking for specific things to try to build some sets. Hopefully this video helped. If it did, smash that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to the channel. Make sure to join us every Sunday at 2 p.m. EST for the Knights of Teleria, where you get myself, Final Compachi, JR Star 3, Nacho Plays 50, Gestel Gaming, and Jarrett Gaming. We talk everything Raid Shadow Legends. We answer any community questions we have out. And we have a pretty much fun time for those couple of hours that, we have some friendly banter and enjoy each other's time. As always, guys, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other. I'll catch you guys next time.